Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We have a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape May. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. The time is now 4 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and City Hall bulletin board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and/or video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin?
Here.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer is absent. Mayor Mullick?
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz?
Here.
City Manager Dietrich?
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs?
Here.
Deputy Clerk Turner?
Here.
We have Resolution 299-10, 2025, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-12. This is for the Full Service Water Storage Tank Asset Management and Maintenance Program, RFP number 25-13, Shared Services Agreement with the Borough of Cape May Point for law enforcement and dispatching services, discussion on healthcare benefits, the Allen AME Church lease with Eastland Theater Company, and the Enterprise Fleet Management lease.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Public portion, Mayor?
Is anyone here wishing to speak on this resolution? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and go into closed session.
Time is 4:06.
All right, good evening, everyone. We have, actually, we have to close out our closed session and there will be some action. Is that correct, Solicitor?
We have a couple of items, I think, that we're going to go through to add
Okay,
from the
okay.
closed session.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the closed session?
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that, we'll open up our regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape May. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. The time is now 5:32. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and City Hall Bulletin Board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and/or video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember Bodnar.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McDade.
Here.
Councilmember Meyer.
Here.
Mayor Mullick.
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz.
Here.
City Manager Dietrich.
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs.
Here.
Deputy Clerk Turner.
Here.
And Council, we have several additions this evening if you'd like for me to go through them. We have Resolution 305-10, 2025, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the lease with Eastland Theater Company regarding the Allen AME Church. 306-10, 2025, resolution for award of contract for an extraordinary and specifiable services. This is for Delta Dental. 307-10, 2025, resolution for award of a contract for extraordinary and specifiable services for Delta Vision. 308-10, 2025, resolution for appointment of health benefits consultant Marcia McLennan Agency in a required disclosure manner. And 309-10, 2025, a resolution authorizing group enrollment for all Medicare-eligible retired city employees into Hartford Group Retiree Insurance Plan 1 and into the Express Scripts Medicare Pharmacy Drug Plan with enrollment facilitated by Benestar Employer Services Trust. If you'd like to make a motion to add that to the regular agenda, Council.
Do I have a motion to add resolutions 305 through 309?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
Okay. On to updates and old business.
City Manager, any updates or old business?
Yes, I have a few things, thank you. First, I'd like to let everybody know that we had the pleasure of swearing in a new firefighter that replaced a vacant firefighter position that we had, and we had firefighter Joel Hatch join the ranks of our firemen today, so it was great to bring a fireman in and kind of bring our full complement back up to staff over at the firehouse. The other thing is, this evening, beginning at 6 o'clock to 8 a.m., Washington Street from Jefferson to the Physics Estate will have intermittent road closures and detours for they're finally coming back to paint the crosswalks along the Washington Street project. So it's been long awaited, but they're finally coming and they're going to do it in the evening. So if you're along that stretch, I'm sorry, there could be a little bit of activity going on, some bright lights at a couple intersections, but by tomorrow morning, before school starts, all the crosswalks will be out there and ready for everybody to use. And I appreciate everybody's patience this evening and patience over the summer while we didn't have them out there. The next item is, as we had a pre-construction meeting for the police headquarters building, and we're getting that ready. So you will see some light work starting out there this week. So they're possibly on Friday, they're going to start putting up some of the construction staging fencing for their area. And we're anticipating that the dog park will be closed beginning Monday, November 3rd. Public Works will be posting signs out there in advance of that, and we're anticipating having a groundbreaking on November 13th. That's a Wednesday at 3:30. I know that that's a different date than what I had initially talked to you, but there were some scheduling changes with some of the other people involved in the project, so we've moved it to that Wednesday instead of Monday. So it'll be Wednesday, November 13th at 3:30, groundbreaking for the police headquarters building. And that's all I had this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager, City Solicitor.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
City Council, any updates or old business? Okay, on to ordinances for introduction. City Clerk?
Yes, we have 581-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Code of the City of Cape May regarding on-street parking permits.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to introduce.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
582-2025, an ordinance of the City of Cape May amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Vehicles and Traffic to regulate the operation of electric bicycles and scooters.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
583-2025, an ordinance authorizing an amendment and extension of lease agreement with the New Jersey Transit Corporation for Block 1060, bless you, lots 4.01 and 4.02, commonly known as the Welcome Center.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And 584-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 525 of the City Zoning Code to promote workforce and long-term housing opportunities in the C1 zoning district.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
I do have a question or two. I know that this was carving out just the Washington Street Mall area, and just wondering how the discussion occurred at the planning board.
So, yeah, after this was on for first introduction, probably about 6 weeks ago, yeah. And so we took it to planning board at that time. At that point in time, I recall that you had some concerns about the expansiveness of this in the whole C1 district. We included that in the conversation. But the planning board basically looked at this and said, you know, for the units that are there, we'd like to encourage workforce housing. There was no discussion that it should only be limited to that. I will say that, first of all. There were this probably occurred over 2 meetings. We had discussions around parking, which is, you know, something that we felt was important to allow for a parking variance not having to come for an application. Also removing the caveat for a site plan review to encourage that it would still require a construction official to look at the unit and making sure that it was appropriate for housing. We put criteria around it for the habitable square foot per individual, and that there would be a notification clause. Not just having it as an ordinance, but there would be letters specifically sent to individuals who currently had units that were being offered as short-term rentals on the mall. And there was another one, Councilwoman Baldwin, and I'm just literally, it just dropped out of my brain since I'm doing this all from memory. But I'm looking at Deputy Manager Riggs.
there's a-
I'm sorry, Mr. Gillen Schwartz.
If I could just add to that, I think and I wasn't at those meetings, but I certainly followed them because there was a lot of amendments that came out of it. But I think it really started with the master plan identifying the C1 and the Washington Street Mall area as a candidate for this concept. Now, the details of that were kind of flushed out in discussion. But then I think the discussion really narrowed down to this is going to be a new concept, and why not consider where that might be most useful to deploy as like a pilot program and establish a definition and a process that people could utilize to maybe convert these spaces with limitations that might serve really what Cape May's trying to do, which is bring year-round and long-term residents back to the city or keep them there and give those opportunities some life rather than, kind of leaning towards short-term rental, which is really where the market's trended. And so looking at this as an opportunity to test a concept in an area where it might be feasible, where there might be some storage, like an area that's used for storage, but maybe that could be a long-term housing unit instead. And then what that does is it potentially creates an opportunity to see, look, if there's some success with that, you can take this concept and this program and this process and then deploy it in other areas of the city that you might think, hey, it might work over there. And maybe you can go to, if you want to see the concept expand, it really is a matter of just amending the code
Yeah.
in those areas.
And I don't know necessarily, to be frank, that the planning board would be against expanding it and having an all-inclusive, at least for the C1. I mean, that was the recommendation that came out of the master plan, as Mr. Gillenschwartz said, and it really was reinforced by Mr. Hurlis during the discussions. Now, whether or not you could expand this beyond the C1, certainly, I think that goes to the logic that Mr. Gillenschwartz puts out. So from my perspective, having been part of the discussions, I don't think that there would be any concern about promoting this and expanding it beyond the Washington Street Mall blocks, and using this as sort of the beta test throughout the C1. So if that was a consideration. And the other thing I did remember was that we were talking about those properties that currently do offer it as short-term, since they would be notified, and plus they would be, you want to use a grandfathered in, so that, just so that they're on notice that they should maintain that in order not to, not be in conformity. So that was the other piece.
Before we go any further with questions, just to give anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about a little explanation. We had received a couple applications through the planning board, not through city council, for short-term rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs, on locations above stores on the mall. This has been a discussion in Cape May for decades, as some of you know. I think I'm oversimplifying this, but to explain it to people who don't understand, there are stores on the mall where above the first floor, there's basically nothing on the second or third floor. And the reason for that is that they cannot provide parking under the code for anything above the first floor. So second or third floor had traditionally been maybe storage or things like that. We also kind of know off the record that there may be some people staying up there because it's not legal, that's not being inspected, and we really don't know what's going on. So it obviously could be an unsafe condition. And frankly, after receiving several applications to put short-term rentals above the mall, which many people thought was probably the worst-case scenario, and if you can imagine so many of the second and third floors of the mall now becoming Airbnbs, everybody turning over on Saturdays, cleaning companies coming in and out. Meanwhile, over these years, it's been sitting empty. On the other side of this, I think most people understand that we have frankly, a bit of a crisis in regards to workforce housing in the city. And at the same time, you have empty spaces in important areas, and you kind of think, hey, those folks could stay there and work right downstairs. It's a lot of planning, town planning. That's kind of a nice way to plan. Anyway, that was the genesis of this discussion and the idea of this ordinance. And I just want to put it on the record and be clear that the idea for this ordinance is not for profit. This is to provide workforce housing for our workforce, which in turn may include a profit to the business. If you're able to hire good people that can live and work in Cape May, I would assume those people could be very helpful to a business owner. But for the record, the idea here is not to rent this out at a high amount to people who aren't working in town. It's for workforce housing. And the discussion, if I can summarize, is whether it should this be a smaller test case of the Washington Street Mall, or should it be all of the C1? And the C1 is a little further outside of the mall. And I don't have an opinion on that, so I'm happy to hear
Well-
from all of council.
Yeah, so I guess my only concern with it is looking at the highly congested area of the Washington Street Mall, and then looking at the entire C1 district, which it includes maybe like a block around the mall in most areas, which is a little less congested. If this is going to be a test, do we consider possibly looking at the outer part of that? Or do we possibly look at considering including this in all of that? So I'm not sure, just a thought, you
Yeah.
know.
If I could just add to the discussion, if I recall from the planning board meetings, we also tried to take a look at, through the lens of, if we brought it back to council, what would be the most palatable that we could look at as that test case? So if we're going to go outside the purview, again, if that's the direction, that's fine. I'm just sharing, at least from my perspective, it was what would be most palatable through that lens of, hey, we have this test case going on, let's try to narrow the scope. But if we're going to go broader, that's, I'm all
Well,
ears
that's why
as
I'm
well.
saying either we keep the scope narrow and go outside of it where it's a little less dense.
But I think the other thing, Councilwoman Baldwin, as part of the planning board, the intention of this also was to make sure that we were not expanding on transient accommodations on the mall. And so this targeting that area was specifically done in part for that reason, also the encouragement of workforce housing. If we were going to make a change to this, my preference would be that we expand upon it. Include this, Washington. And, I look at this as an opportunity. I think people will, it'll take a little bit of time for it to get some traction. Once we get one or two that come through and find out that this really is, something that would facilitate housing, and some of the conditions that people saw as obstacles in the past have been removed, that it would encourage others to take a look at it. I would say I'd like to see it expanded to the whole C1, and then that way we can at least, have it on the outside perimeter where it might be more attractive and easier for some of the conditions. But that the C1, the Washington Street Mall blocks was an important consideration, given the applications that were coming through. And
Yeah, you
wanting
saw
to
it
make
on a
sure.
different end.
Exactly, right. And wanting to make sure that we were very clear from a city planning perspective, that that was not an area that we wanted to see those kinds of applications coming. And this, we felt, was a way to sort of accommodate or address that. So,
I would like to see it expanded to
Okay.
the whole part, because then it doesn't look like it's a spot
Sure.
zoning within that C1
Yeah.
zone.
so Mr. Gillen-Schwartz, can we just expand it here with an amendment?
This is council's call,
Okay.
because I think the master plan reexamination report really points to the whole of C1. It was, planning, I think, was trying to do what Mr. Riggs was pointing to, which is just, look at it maybe as a pilot program, but if council wants to incorporate the entirety of the C1 district, we can certainly do that, by amendment here at the table, and you can all discuss that.
Okay. I'd like to support that amendment.
So,
Mr. Mayor, before we
Yeah,
make an amendment,
please,
can I say some of my concerns and
Sure.
thoughts? I'm obviously in favor of, workforce housing, what we are terming it as. We need more of it in this town. And I think because most of the city council is willing to look at this, in any location at Cape May, I think it's a good opportunity to do a trial period. I also think the timing is perfect because we have these property owners have the time to, prepare and remodel these units by summertime. My only concern about this is, especially in this area, is that, say if you have a unit or 3 units, you possibly have, up to 3 vehicles that might be sitting just on the outskirts of the paid parking area of town. And if you don't have to go far from work and home, that car is likely going to sit there all summer long, until they have to leave the island or for whatever reason. And expanding this is important to me because there's so much more opportunities in this town where there's garages that can have units above them and mother-in-law units as part of houses. And because the parking does not allow it, I think this is a good start, and I'm willing to give it a shot.
I agree, thank you. So would someone like to make the amendment motion to amend?
I would make the amendment motion to include the entire C1 district.
Do I have a second to that?
I will second that.
Any questions or comments on the amendment? Okay, do I have a motion on the, I'm sorry, we have a motion. Can I have a,
Roll call.
Anything to add, Solicitor, or are we good?
I'll adjust the language to reflect that,
Okay.
and this will be sent back to the planning board for their information, but it's already been determined to be consistent, but we'll send it back to them anyway.
Thank you.
so we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes. Do I have a motion on the amended ordinance? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes,
ask
sir.
a question? I'm sorry. In this resolution, or ordinance, in the back, there's a resolution by the planning board. And on the back of that resolution, there's I guess, a table that tells everybody's votes. Is that an accurate table? Because I think there might have been one dissenting vote at that meeting.
I don't know.
Well,
I believe there was one abstention.
abstention, yes. I was going to say, I don't think it was a,
Mr.
That's still not
Lundholm, I
reflected here.
believe, abstained on it, so I'd have to.
I just don't think this table, for some reason, is not accurate to the resolution that it's attached to.
Verify the accuracy of that for the.
we can.
That's a
ask-
planning board matter.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yep.
Yep.
It should be consistent and.
I'll take it back to them. Sure.
Okay, so we have we made a motion on the amendment. Do I have a motion on the amended ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments, council? I'll just say, and I think I speak for everyone, I believe, to say that if the planning board does have any comments on this between second reading, we'll be obviously happy to hear those. Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And we have the public portion on resolutions only, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on any of the resolutions this evening? This is public comment on the resolutions on the agenda. Hello, Roz.
I found it. Roz Johnson, 826 Lafayette Street. I'd like to comment on resolution number 302. It states that administration needs to establish procedures of correct conduct of employees, officials, et cetera, when dealing with each other and when dealing with the public. It suggests training and monitoring and reporting, which are all great ideas. However, it doesn't address avenues of appropriate discipline when the resolution and the procedures are violated. So my question is, will consequences be established and included in this future document?
Mr. Solicitor, do you want, or City Manager, do you want to answer that?
I mean, we certainly have a personnel policy manual that includes, disciplinary procedures. This is kind of in addition to the ways that we would already handle discipline.
Okay,
And
so,
certainly, these types of considerations, civil rights policy, I mean, these are kind of at the forefront of, the concerns and the way that, we want our employees interacting. And this is a pretty common thing throughout, municipal employers, public employers. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that, but I see this as a supplement to,
Yeah.
it's just another thing that we need to comply with, and we have procedures in place for discipline.
well, does it need to be written that consequences can be found in the manual or something?
No,
like-
that's a standardized form for the certification for that process, but our employee manual has
Oh, okay.
a well
So
Full list
everyone
of-
involved knows,
Yes, and the
they're
employees get
constantly-
copies of those handbooks each year. They're signed off on those, and there's
Okay.
a good process for that.
okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Roz. Jules?
Good evening, Jules Rouse, 1010 York Avenue. Within that same Resolution 301, would it be appropriate for that resolution or policy to have the requirement for a procedure where before someone is offered a position, if it is what I'll refer to as a supervisory position, before that's offered, that they have a background check? I think it's essential that anyone that is coming into an important capacity in the city, before they get the job, they have a security check.
Mr.
do-
Roush,
we do-
that's-
We do
appropriate?
that. We do that process.
But
That is
you're
that is our current, I can't speak, that is our current process of department head level or anybody that's involved with a minor gets a background check.
Before the job is offered.
No,
Boop.
not
No.
before it's offered.
Not before.
So when, to talk procedurally, a conditional offer goes out to the employee, they would kind of negotiate the terms of, hey, I want X salary, Y salary, X vacation days, et cetera. Once that person signs off on it, it comes back to the manager's office. At that time, it's a conditional offer of employment subject to any of the things that you're talking about, which includes a background check. So they still have to pass a background check if they were to be officially onboarded within the city of Cape May.
And
that's our policy.
Mr. Riggs, would it also include a physical for certain positions?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So blood test, standard kind of thing, yeah. It's usually conditional. Yeah.
In 303, that resolution does not have an Exhibit A. Do we have some idea of what Taylor is going to propose that they're going to do on the beach?
Mr. City Manager?
The scope of their services, I described this at the last council meeting. Their scope of services is to work between 2 to 3 different meetings with both the city, Army Corps of Engineers, and the DEP, Bureau of Coastal Engineering, and evaluate what methods and procedures would be needed to analyze future design template changes for the beach fill profile, and to establish what metrics and what procedures that they would want to see in order for us to change the template to become a more user-friendly beach profile, but while also maintaining the necessary storm damage protection that's the whole purpose of the beach fills is storm damage protection. And we want to try and find the balance between the two. And, so it's a not to exceed contract to hold 2 to 3 meetings with those various agencies to kind of come up with a program to what would be the future analysis be.
Okay, thank you. Can we have some idea of what you're going to adopt 305, which is a lease on the AME Church? Do we know, have some idea as to what that is?
Sure. So Eastland Theater is proposing to have, they put on their own events. They have theater events, and they're obviously promoting the arts. And there may be an opportunity for other arts-related organizations, maybe an artist themselves or another nonprofit organization, to put on an event in the AME Church and for them to partner with those other organizations that are maybe doing something similar. And like I said, it might be a musician performing, it might be a group performing, it might be another theater organization or an educational thing, something that's related to their nonprofit mission and goals and the types of events that they put on. And what they're proposing is that they have the ability to partner with these other organizations to put on an event in the AME Church, but we have our own process already built into the city code for organizations that want to use public property. We have a use of public facilities ordinance with insurance requirements and hold harmless, and a review process by city administration, and an administration fee for reviewing those types of things. So what we're doing here with this amendment is basically taking the process that's already existing in the code for someone that wants to use Convention Hall for an event or something like that, and routing that through the same process. So, for example, if Exit Zero Jazz Festival wants to do an event at AME Church, they can route it through Eastland Theater, they route it through the city, and it gets funneled through that same process that anybody off the street would be run through, reviewing with city administration, hold harmless, insurance requirements, additional insured, all those standard requirements, and then it allows them to partner with those organizations to put on an event. The city also has the assurance that, you know, they have some eyes on the event, what's going on in the building, what's the nature of it, what do you expect the attendance will be, all those types of, you know, public health and safety and general welfare concerns are addressed because, like I said, we already have an ordinance provision in place. We're just basically taking that blueprint, dropping it into a lease amendment. And then the last part of it is we're going to treat this as sort of a pilot program like we talked about with this workforce housing. We're going to, the term will be January 31st, 2027. So we're going to try out this concept, see how it works for them, see how it works for the city, and then evaluate it, reevaluate it at that time.
Thank you. In the bills, there's a 09732. Service Pro has a bill for $26,400 for mold remediation in the new firehouse. I don't know why that is a city bill when I believe we still have funds being held by the contractor. This is a failure of some sort, so if the corrections have to be made, why should the city be making those corrections?
The city has to pay for it, so to make sure that the work gets done in a timely fashion. So we made sure that the work was done in a timely fashion, and we will use that as we do our final billing closeout with the contractor to subtract off the different things that the city has done to fulfill that contract and subtract that off of what we owe him.
So it's safe to say the city will be made whole?
That is our intention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on resolutions this evening? Jim?
Jim Moffett, 681 New England Road. And just for a couple minutes to, my thoughts on the ordinance proposed for e-bikes and scooters. I've read the ordinance and agree with what you're trying to do. We should cracking down on e-bikes and bicycles as well, on pavements, sidewalks, no lights on your bike at night, no helmets for youngsters, and things like that. So I agree with the ordinance, with one exception, and that is penalty. And as I read it, it's a $100 fine for the first offense and a $200 fine thereafter. Now, is that what's really going to happen in all cases? I know with bicycles, and talking to the police department a couple weeks ago, unless it's an offender that you know is a continuous offender, it's usually just a warning. Hey, you shouldn't be on the promenade. You should have your lights on, and things like that. It may be a verbal, or it may be a written. And I got to admit, I don't know if there's something in the regular ordinance for bicycles, if there's a dollar amount for, further on.
Yes.
But to put in an ordinance that is $100 first offense I don't think you're really going to be doing that. And, okay? So why not put something in there that says warning, or if it's a habitual offender, you know, $100 to $200. But it just seems overly dramatic to me to say $100 first offense, $200 other ones. So that,
I agree with you, but I think the solicitor can comment. I would say it's consistent with all of our ordinances, but I see Lieutenant Walker's with us this evening as well. But the solicitor could probably answer, I mean, it is consistent with the other ordinances that we have on the books, but you are, I don't want to speak for the police. Why don't you come on up, Lieutenant?
Let's grab a mic, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant Walker's going to join you if that's all right.
Join you up here at the microphone, if that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so, sir, just because it says like a first offense, that warning could still be issued. The officers still have discretion. That warning is not going to constitute a fine the first time that they have contact with them. Now, on subsequent offenses, if they choose to issue a citation, then yeah, that's where that first offense would come into play, and that's where they would be subject to the fine in court. And then another subsequent citation after that would trigger the other $200 fine, I believe it is in the way it's written. So that first time, that first contact with that individual, that visitor, that's not going to require a $100 fine if we just take their information, add them to our CAD entry. Hey, this is a warning, just so you know, these are the rules. Have a good day. So if that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Okay, but I think what you're saying is reality and what is put in the ordinance are two different things.
No, I think the ordinance shows, like, if you get a citation, what the fines are. And I think that if officers use their discretion and give a verbal warning for that violation, then that fine wouldn't need to be imposed.
It's important to note, too, you know, we're statutorily limited on the degree to which, we can't just put in here like $10,000 fine for a first offense, nor would we. But
That's good.
Yes.
but what we do have some room to work on. I'll just give you an example. Like this 100 and 200, that's within the range of what Chapter 7 already provides. We have a not less than $50, nor more than $1,000, and/or imprisonment for 90 days. You know, look, that's going to be the rare cases. But when we're talking about fines, I think we want to give our enforcement personnel something to sink their teeth into in terms of, look, don't violate this, something to put on the sign and say, look, we really need to follow this because these are the ramifications. The penalties and the, you know, what can come of an offense really goes to the municipal court judge and what their discretion is and the prosecutor to sort of have those conversations. But I think we want our police to be able to say, look, you know, you got to follow this stuff when they're issuing a warning to say, look, I'm catching you this first time, but know that these are the penalties. So can you put some lights on this thing and can you stay off the sidewalk and then let that sink in? But they're not writing them a summons that says pay, you know, you got to pay $1,000. Usually it's like you violated this, and then that plays out in the municipal court context. But I think it's good to give them at least something to sink their teeth into and make the ordinance have some meaning.
One example might be maybe they want to hit somebody with the fine on the first offense. If somebody's zigzagging on the promenade between people and being really unsafe or, you know, egregious, they may want to say, hey, this guy really needs a fine and to know that this is serious, you know. Yeah.
It's another tool that our officers have in their toolbox now to kind of combat some of the recklessness that's going on.
But like Lieutenant Walker said, it doesn't eliminate the discretion, and they can evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. Like, look, maybe this person wasn't paying attention, they're remorseful about it, and maybe that's a warning, and then that's where prosecutorial discretion comes in, you know. And that flexibility, from my standpoint, I think is a good thing to have in there, but not go overboard. You don't have like a $10,000 fine in there or something like that.
Okay, well, that's your decision. That was just my observation. I have
We appreciate
another
it.
observation. And I don't think you want to necessarily put it in the ordinance, but I think it would be very valuable if we had some good discussions about things like enforcement. How is this going to be enforced? I know enforcement of bicycles in my opinion, still leaves a lot to be desired. It's not, if it were easy to do, we'd have already done it. But maybe we do things like, look at best practices around the country, maybe particularly at small-town resort or places like Cape May. Something like education. What are we going to do to try and educate e-bike and scooter users about how they should be acting and the things that they're doing which are wrong, whether it be going down a one-way street the wrong way or riding on a sidewalk. Can we do something in the schools? Can we do something as a general service in the community? Have, and I guess what I'm suggesting is maybe we have this advisory committee, bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee, get together with city council, the police department, the bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee, and over the course of a period of time. It doesn't have to be next week, but try and set something for a goal for 2026.
Jim, I appreciate it. As you know, and for those that don't realize it, I'm the liaison to the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So we've had an opportunity to discuss some of these issues, and we're actually in the process of working on what our agenda is going to be for 2026. One of the issues that we have discussed, and there's a myriad of them, but one of them, of course, has been enforcement. And just want to know, Lieutenant Walker, I appreciate you coming to our last Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting to give an update on, I guess, the state of affairs, through in Cape May over the course of this year. So I understand why the issue of enforcement and the issue of e-bikes resonates with Mr. Moffitt, who's standing here as a citizen, but is also our chairperson for the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, because these are issues that we have discussed. So, I think it's important for the public to hear as well. Yes, enforcement is important to everybody in the city. It's an issue that we hear. I know it's an issue that the police department hears about on a regular basis. And one of the discussions that we had in a presentation that Lieutenant Walker made at the last meeting was about the directed patrols that the police department did, in particular on the promenade and on the mall over the course of I'll call it the busy season. Included in that presentation was, early in the morning until late in the morning, having staff out on the promenade, out on the mall, specifically to look for issues about people riding their bikes recklessly or riding their bikes when they should not be riding their bikes on the promenade or on the mall at all. Issues with dogs. We all hear about dogs on the mall. Well, we heard specifically statistics from the police department about their efforts to have their staff advise people to take their dogs off the mall. Now, there were, I don't recall the specific statistics, but I know there were hundreds and hundreds of instances, because they're kept track of the individual contacts that they had with those individuals, to advise them of what the law was and to have them take their bikes, and remove their pets accordingly. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think one summons was issued under any of those circumstances, which candidly is really the best result. We just want corrective action. We want people to comply with that. So I appreciate the direct patrols, and I think that they were effective this year. And as we go into as we discuss issues of enforcement in the future, I think it's certainly something we can discuss to even increase in the future, because they were effective. The other issues that you've raised, Mr. Moffitt, look, You and I are already scheduled to have a discussion to address some of these issues. I think I know we have a good report to discuss these. I'm looking forward to that conversation that we're going to have next week, and I'll definitely expand that to talk with City Council on.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay? And as the mayor just mentioned to me, you're absolutely correct. You mentioned about education, discussing the school. That's something we can reach out to them as well and bring them into this conversation as well. So thank you, Mr. Moffett.
Councilman Bodnar, the directed patrol for next season, if we know that that's a direction that we want to take, that's a great use of our SLEO staff to start directing them to enforcement of the e-bikes. And we have lead instructors that are in all of our schools. So if we want to touch base with Detective Shustak, that's a great block of instruction for the younger kids and Detective Shustak and some of the officers that teach lead. So it's a good way to segue into that as well.
Lieutenant, just a comment too. I heard, because I know some of those patrols were later in the season, like especially on the promenade, and I heard from several people that were really happy to see that. It's just for your, I should say that to you more often, but
Appreciate
people were really happy about that.
Yeah, it was in response to some of the complaints we got, so that's why it wasn't enacted earlier in the season. It was, just to address some of the complaints.
We appreciate that.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else on resolutions this evening? Seeing none, we can close public comment on resolutions. We'll have a further public comment in a moment. I lost my paper here.
Anything to remove from the consent agenda tonight, council?
I got it, sir. Sorry. All of the additions are not on the consent agenda,
They'll
correct?
be handled separately.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions? No? Okay. Roll call?
I do believe we have just some abstentions from the October 7th meeting minutes, correct? For Councilmember Meyer.
Okay.
And we would need a motion and a second, please.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Now roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes, with the abstention to the October 7th meetings.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to 305-10, 2025, a resolution authorizing amendment to lease with Eastland Theater Company regarding the Allen AME Church.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a
Do
motion.
I have a second?
I'll second.
This was obviously a question that came up and was discussed by the solicitor. Do we have any other questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
306-10, 2025, a resolution for award of contract for extraordinary and specifiable services for Delta Dental.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
This obviously is involving employee health care, and I believe it had a 0% increase. Is that right, City Manager?
Yes. Yeah.
Delta?
Yeah, both Delta Dental and Delta Vision were
The
a
next one.
0% increase for this year.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
We
right?
have a motion and a second, Council.
Any other questions or comments, Council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
307-10, 2025, a resolution for award of contract for extraordinary and specifiable services. This is Delta Vision.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
308-10, 2025, resolution for appointment of health benefits consultant, Marcia McLennan Agency, in a required disclosure manner.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
309-10, 2025, resolution authorizing group enrollment for all Medicare-eligible retired city employees into the Hartford Group Retiree Insurance Plan 1 and into the Express Scripts Medicare Pharmacy Drug Plan with enrollment facilitated by Benestar Employer Services Trust.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
I'd like to make one comment. There was a lot of work that went into this, and Deputy Mayor McDade, thank you. Management, thank you.
Thank you.
There was a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And also the city employees, there was a lot that you mentioned as
Yes.
far as the city employees really kind of making all of this happen and keeping the fees down. So I want to thank everybody that was involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree, and we'll have more on health insurance in the next coming meetings, most likely, but just adding on the compliment, because it does take a heck of a lot of work. I believe you said the state health care is going up 36%?
36.5% this year.
36.5% this year, and we are not in that anymore, but thankfully, and the city's saving a lot of money, but that is because of the employees that allows us to have a good enough rating to go into private insurance, so.
And it's also, they had a change, so that's, this year, when we left state health benefits into this plan, not only do they manage their health care well to help keep our rates low, but they had to change, and that, anybody that has to go through that kind of change, is difficult, and, there were some bumps in the beginning, but, thankfully, the employees stayed with the program, and, they really helped us get to where we needed to be, and I do thank them very much for helping us go through that process, because we couldn't have done it without their help.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have a motion and a second on 309?
We do.
Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And forgive me if I missed this earlier during the manager's update. I believe we wanted to discuss water tower. At the end?
At the
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're almost at the end.
I think we're there.
New business, city solicitor?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City manager, you're on.
Thank you. I was waiting for the new business part
Sorry.
to add it there.
I was very
so thank you.
excited about it.
So I would like to request that we authorize an approval through the RFP process for a non-fair and non-open process. I think that's the statutory guidelines, but for a professional services contract to Remington Vernick in the amount of $63,000 to prepare the bid specifications and then ultimately do the construction inspection for the repainting of the Madison Avenue Water Tower.
And ultimately, there will be a formal resolution at the next meeting ratifying this, but I think there's some timing
Yeah,
components.
we're trying to get this moving ahead, and at that point, their proposal will be attached to the resolution. We did receive 2 proposals to do the work, and Remington and Vernick was the most, they, based on price and technical factors, felt like they were the most qualified to continue and move forward with this project.
Do we need a motion on that?
I would, if we
Yes.
could have a motion, please.
Okay, what would you have?
The motion would be an authorization for the manager to commence that, but it's going to be subject to a formal resolution at the following meeting for a professional services agreement, subject to pay-to-play and all the standard conditions that we would include in that.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? I'd just like to add to it for the public's benefit. The city manager, and we included, I don't know how much money in the budget for the painting of the water tower, but we included a good amount of money in it to paint it. The city manager has done a lot of work looking at different options, basically just painting it or other warranty options and maintenance options, and so has really reviewed a lot of different things to get to this point. So I'm very comfortable, and also has gotten quotes from multiple engineers to move it just to painting at this point. So I appreciate that.
Just to be clear about what we're doing tonight, this isn't the painting itself.
Right.
This is to
Engineering.
to bring an engineering firm on board to cover the RFP process.
To
and-
prepare the plans and specs to
Correct.
ultimately
For
go
the
out to bid
RFP.
for the
Yep.
project.
Wouldn't that be great?
And the fact is, we really want to make sure we get this project started by hopefully the spring of this year, so we'll see. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes?
Mayor Mullick.
Yes. City Clerk, any updates?
Yes, just a few announcements. We have the Trigger Trails cleanup is scheduled for October 30th from 3 to 5 p.m. We encourage everybody to come out and volunteer. Trick or Treat Night, of course, is on October 31st from 5 to 8. I do believe there will be a portion of Washington Street closed during the event hours. Again, I'm not sure if we know the exact location at this point. Wasn't it last year? It was Union?
Thank you, Lieutenant, we appreciate it.
Mayor, we can do Union, I believe, to Jefferson.
Union, Jefferson? Okay.
Union through Jefferson. That's great.
The next council meeting is a Monday, November 3rd at 5:30 PM because Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. The polls open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., so everybody get out and vote. And that's it.
Thank you, City Clerk. Councilmember Baldwin?
Just one thing, Jazz Fest is coming up November 7th through 9th, and it's not just jazz for everybody to know, it's jazz, blues, and folk music. It's an exciting weekend in Cape May, but the day before, on a Thursday, on the 6th, there's a fundraiser, and I have some flyers here for anybody that wants it. It's a fundraiser, which is really exciting. The Jazz Festival actually does a locals music education, and they have an artist in residence, and they work with the local schools in the area. So it's, mainly in the county. It's Lower Cape May Regional. I think Wildwood was involved last year or the year before, Ocean City High School. And then the students go, and they're treated to a great concert in Lower. And that fundraiser includes Jason Marsalis, which is exciting, and the Ocean Avenue Stompers. So if anybody's interested, there's flyers here. And that's all there.
That's great, thank you. Councilman Bodnar?
Tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Nature Trail. I'm going to be...
Does this mean it's going to rain tomorrow?
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, so be forewarned, wear your hazard gear. So the wellness walk is scheduled for 11 o'clock. Yes, I've been rained out at least twice. So again, be forewarned. Myself, I think some folks from the Recreation Department will be representing as well. And if you can come out, would enjoy walking with you on the Nature Trail, and hope to see you then.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Nothing at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Meyer?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Clerk, are we open on Veterans Day, or are we closed that day as well? Just making sure. I don't want to steal too much of your thunder, Mayor, but, that was a really cool event at the fire station at the 150th anniversary.
Yeah.
Great, it was a really great event. Everybody did a great job speaking. Last Thursday, the Shade Tree Commission members and our deputy city manager and our public works representative all went up to Atlantic City for the Tree Federation. It was a lot of fun, a lot to learn, and it was the 100th anniversary. So I remember thinking to myself, wow, the spirit of the 60s and 70s really stayed alive. But if you think about it, it's 100 years they've been thinking about protecting trees and how to incorporate trees into urban environments. And so there's a lot of great talks about that. They had this really great professor. It was like watching a Baptist minister. It was just so captivating. I also want to thank, or talk about the parade, the Halloween parade on Sunday. I want to thank the judges that helped me with that. I want to thank Casey and Rachel that did a great job. I want to thank the fire department for bringing out the LaFrance. I want to thank the police officers and the fire police for doing a good job keeping us safe. It's really special when you see some of these kids and parents and what they do together, and their dogs. and I think a lot of people's hearts melted when they saw some of the kids that were so excited to win at that event. So that was really special for me.
That's great. Thank you, Councilman. I just echo what you just said about the 150th for the firefighters. That was really a great event, and congratulations to not just the current firefighters, but the many that came before them. And also, I'd like to thank the rec department and the police department, as Councilman Meyer just said, for the Halloween parade. I really think that was a wonderful parade. I think people had a great time. So, and our judges, who did a wonderful job. Thank you. With that, we'll open it up for public comment on any and all matters. If anyone has anything they'd like to bring up, please come to the microphone. Just state your name and address for the record.
Public speaking, I'm going to probably mumble and hopefully get through this. First of all, I want to say thank you, Zach. Mayor Zach, you have done an amazing job for Cape May. I grew up here. I'm back here. My mom still lives here. The community center was
We need your
just
name
like a
and-
gift.
Excuse me,
So
ma'am. I'm
excited.
so sorry, but could you please state your
Oh,
name and
I'm
address?
sorry.
Yeah, name and address. for
Julie
the record.
Julie Sheehy, 5 Jackson Street.
Thank you.
And the fact that it was free, I was like, oh my God, I bike ride. I had a terrible accident when I was 17. I broke both my back. I was in pain for 45 years. Good news is I had 2 surgeries in the past 2 years. I'm now pain-free. I can walk without pain.
Wow.
But bike riding's my jam. I bike ride outside unless it's blowing a gale, like today, when I had to do it today, or raining. So to be able to walk out my condo and go over to the brand-new community center, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, yay. So yesterday I was there, and everybody there is wonderful. The staff is lovely. And they came up to me and they said, oh, Julie, we have to hang this sign, but we wanted to talk to you first. And I was like, okay, what? It's going to be now $10 an hour to ride a Peloton. I was like, what? I'll just do the math without the vacation days. That's $3,650 for one person. That's insane.
Yep.
I was so upset, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a 2-year-old and go on Facebook and say anything. Well, today I was like, I was going to go over to North Beach and join again, and I was like, you know what? It's too nice out. I had to go to Mass for a friend of mine. She had to walk over here and pay taxes. So this is my second time in the building today. Anyhow, I went upstairs and I said, I need to complain. Like, what the heck? And I spent 3 hours yesterday looking to see, when did this happen? Why? What? Anyhow, I said, well, I had, I posted a picture of me bike riding. It was like my MapQuest, whatever it was. I forget what you call it. I was outside for like an hour and 45 minutes. That would have been, what, almost $20 to go? I'm like, that's insane. So I said something, and Mayor Zach said, no, that's wrong. So I'm just here to get some clarification.
So all the city council members that I talked to just before the meeting, so not everybody, were unaware of the change. So we are going to talk to the city manager and everyone and see what we can work out. And I think we'll come up with a good
Because I am a
outcome.
taxpayer. So,
Yeah.
so tomorrow, do I have to go North Cape May, or can I walk across the street and go work out?
It's an ordinance, so we're just hearing about this.
Well, I have a piece of paper that actually shows the chart that you all said yes on.
Excuse me? No, we did. We voted on it, Julie. I'm sorry. It was an ordinance, and we made changes to a number of fees in
Okay.
that, including for the exercise classes. I was sort of one of the council liaisons who worked on the community center. So those fees were reviewed, but there were, probably 3 pages of fees in there.
Okay.
And when the mayor said it to me, I said, no, that's for the exercise classes. We raised those fees. They hadn't been raised in a number of years. I go to the exercise classes, so I know that. We weren't aware of this. So it's not something that we could just pivot on the side here, because it's in an ordinance, and we have not had a discussion with the city manager. So I would say, give us more than till tomorrow.
So,
Because,
but I have a screenshot of Zach saying it's free for taxpayers.
well, that was our understanding. I'm just explaining.
Yeah, and I apologize. I've probably jumped a little quickly on
That's
that.
okay.
I didn't realize that the ordinance was on, I thought it was just on exercise classes, not
Okay.
on the bikes itself.
And that's fine. I'm sure,
Yeah.
this is
We
not.
didn't realize it, and so
Yeah.
we haven't had an opportunity to speak with the city manager.
But let me just say this, I totally agree with you, and I'm going to do the best I can to
And let me just say a couple more things. First of all, like, I know I'm like, not the only person that uses that, but I'm like one of a handful. There's only been like 5 days that there's ever been anybody but me in there. And I know because I set the bike the way I set it, and it's always the same. I understand if you want to charge people that are staying at Congress Hall and they have more money than sense, $10 to work out, because they're on vacation anyhow. I'm a taxpayer, and I don't use it I will use it in the winter because I can't ride outside in the winter.
Right.
But if you're not generating any revenue now for the people and it's free, you're certainly not going to get, I'm not going to go there if you're going to charge me $10 a day.
I hear you.
So-
I agree.
I'm just saying, and I've been promoting it as it's wonderful. People come in and are like, oh my gosh, I've met a couple that got married and they met at Notre Dame. They were in there last week. I'm like, oh, I never see anybody in here. It's like somebody walks in, I'm like, oh, yay.
Yeah.
It's
And that's the
lovely,
inten-
and
that's
it's,
the intention of the community center. So we agree.
and the staff, they are just the loveliest people. So
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. So, yeah. Where am I going tomorrow to work out?
We will get this worked out. Give us a little bit of time, but I'll be
Yeah.
in contact with
All
you.
right, so tomorrow, where am I going?
Tomorrow you may. Yeah, tomorrow you're going to be outside.
No, it's going to
Go on
rain.
the,
It's going to rain.
Go on the nature trail,
I'm going to the,
Yeah.
taking my screenshot.
not with your bike.
I'm going to the.
I'll see you tomorrow, 11
Going.
o'clock, Nature Trail.
But I will be in contact with you.
And I don't know, just as this is a funny thing, I don't usually come to city council unless it's involving a bike, because I don't know, 10 years ago, you remember Bikegate? When Mayor Mahaney
yeah.
flipped my bike?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We will not take your bike. Anyone else this evening on any and all matters? Jules?
Julius.
Julius.
Jules Roush, 1010 New York Avenue. I'd like just to make a couple comments about the electric bikes. Does the statute limit us at 17 years of age for helmets?
What do you mean?
Well, the resolution uses the age of 17, of being everyone under the age of 17 has to wear a helmet. I think we ought to have it at least 21 years of age. And I think I'd like to see the expansion of exclusions where the electric bikes and scooters cannot go, and to include the beach, the ADA beach walkway, the promenade. We don't spell it out in the resolution, and I think it would be a good idea to spell out where they cannot go.
We already have just sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Roush, but we do have a prohibition on power-assisted devices on the promenade already.
Well, what I'm going to indicate is, I think it would be a good idea for the committee, the bicycle committee, to come up with a handout that describes what we expect people that have an EV to do or not do. And that should be given to every motel, a hotel, the people that rent out these facilities. And frankly, if there's an opportunity to have it go out to the taxpayers, so that we can give as many people as possible notice that, if you're going to ride an EV, you're going to be responsible. Do you know they already know with the Guinness Book of Records, they're up to 280 miles an hour riding an EV bike? Mm-hmm. And you can buy them out of the box for 60 to 80 miles an hour. Not at all uncommon. We're going to see a lot of changes in this program in the next couple of years, and if we don't catch a hold of it, it could be a real issue.
Mr. Roush, and not to interrupt you again, but just to give you a little bit of a global view of this, what was on the table tonight. I think, so we had a discussion probably last meeting about, well, we'd really like the state to take a unified approach on this. And I think everybody left that discussion feeling a little unsatisfied with the twiddling of the thumbs on that, and reached out to Lower Township Solicitor because they had just decided, well, we're going to do something until the legislature gets their act together on this issue. And there might be something permeating out there with the legislature, but it's not going to be an immediate thing. So the advantage of doing this is we could craft this a number of different ways, but what Lower Township did is they basically put these things on the same playing field as a car. You're not going to drive on the sidewalk. You need a headlamp. You need to stop for pedestrians. I mean, you need to think of yourself as a car when you're driving one of these things and use the road. And Lower Township adopted virtually the same provision. We got a copy of that. And if you think about kind of the entry points and exits for the city, there's an advantage to us having something that's similar from an enforcement standpoint, that Lower Township Police see people coming on Skellinger's Landing, and they know that the city of Cape May has the same provisions that our police can pick up when they come into town. So it's not like, oh, I'm in the city of Cape May, I can ride on the sidewalk anymore. It's like, no, there's going to be a community-wide and almost a local Cape Island approach to this. And I think West Cape may be considering a similar provision so that we're going to have all these entrances and exits following the same rules of the road until the legislature decides they want to do something different. So no, it's not perfect, and there may be some things that we have to change, but this does provide a definite starting point for it can't be chaos out there with these things anymore, because like you said, I step out the front door of my office and I almost get clipped by one daily when I'm trying to go get my mail. And they're trying to stay off the road, but that's not safe for pedestrians either. So the helmet thing is a statewide thing, the 17. Doesn't mean we can't do something more than that, but that's where that's coming from.
There's two issues. One is the ordinance, which has to be presented in a specific way. But if we create, or if the committee crafts a handout that describes in a very simple way what people that have these electric vehicles cannot do, and it's handed out, it might be a little more effective
So,
than
Mr.
just
Roush.
a
Mr. Roush.
fancy
Mr.
resolution.
Roush,
Yeah, so we have the LSV one now. So I was going to recommend to Councilman Bodnar to take a look at that, and for economies, combine them together, because you could be giving them out to the hotels. They're posted here in City Hall. We meet with the golf cart community, but you could meet with the people who are renting these bikes on the island, et cetera. So there might be some synergies and saving and economies on combining the LSV and the electric scooter together, potentially.
And to pick up on that, look, the LSV, material that's out there, we saw the issue that was coming up with LSVs a couple of years ago. And I think that educating people and having that out there to show that it's an issue, to bring it to people's attention, I think there has been better behavior by LSV riders over the past few years. Couldn't agree with you more as far as providing some type of information for the e-bikes. So, Mr. Roush, I definitely will discuss this with the committee, and I agree with you. I think it would be an excellent idea for us to have information to provide to the hotels, and to be able to promote. I can tell you this much: I've spoken with over the past few weeks. I've had an opportunity to speak with the different bike rental companies that are in town to talk about a variety of issues with them. Each one of them that does rent EVs out, I'm not sure if all of them do, but the ones that do rent EVs out, they have discussions with folks, and they have told me that they talk with people as far as what they're supposed to do operating in EVs, and I know one of them, at least one of them, has told me that they will not rent an EV to somebody who is under the age of 21.
Well, then,
So, which I think is a benefit for all of us.
no question about it.
But I agree with you as far as having some information out there, and then we can discuss as far as how to combine that or how to promote that.
Okay, I have some comments I'd like to make about the workforce housing. First of all, the ordinance for C1 says that
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to add one little thing. We've already talked about it a lot, but the with the e-bikes. And we said this really in a prior resolution to really encouraging the state to make stricter laws. But I just want to say that because it's, so much of this is a state issue that I'm really surprised they haven't acted a little quicker than they have. Because two things that really stick out to me are they need a license plate just like a moped. And you mentioned the other one of a speed limit, which, because as a parent who's had a child who's asked for an e-bike because a lot of his friends have them, and I've said no, because if you look at the statistics where somebody would typically fall on a bike and maybe break an arm, and you add another 20 miles an hour to that, and now they're having really, really serious injuries. It's really scary, the amount, the speed.
Well, Mayor, they now have motocross races for EV bikes.
Right, yeah.
And I saw an interview on TV where the guy that won said that his EV is equivalent to a 500 cc
Right.
race bike.
Right.
And I mean, these things, they fly. And
Yeah.
next generation, everybody, we all were young at one time. We're all going to have
Yeah.
the fastest bike in town. Well,
But I just think the state really needs to take quick action on
I agree.
speed limit and license plates very quickly. I mean, it seems to me I have bipartisan support, so, anyway, I apologize. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. Workforce housing. The ordinance in the city classifies an apartment as something that has 500 square feet habitable area. That's the definition of an apartment. When you consider that that is the minimum size for an apartment as the basis for what we are creating, you have to think what they can do with 500 square feet. Using the formula that is in the ordinance, that means that you can have 4 people in each apartment. That's kind of scary when you look at what 4 occupants would have in one apartment. We're saying, if you have workforce housing, you don't need a vehicle. Well, I want to remind what you classify as workforce housing. It also includes people that work full-time, either in town or, they don't necessarily have to work full-time, but they have to be a resident of the city. And they don't necessarily have to work in the city. They can work anywhere they choose, but they can come and get classified, having a year or 2-year rental lease, and that property that they're occupying does not require a parking. And it, to me, is not representing what I think of as workforce housing. Workforce housing is supposed to be for the people that work here, not for someone that works up in Ocean City or...
Jules, can I comment on that?
Sure.
I just, that was a discussion at the planning board, and we discussed, should we exclude or not exclude? And the reason that a majority of the folks felt that it shouldn't be limited to the city of Cape May is, obviously you have West Cape May Point, Lower Township on Cape May Island. But the thought was, do we want to exclude perhaps a school teacher or a nurse? That obviously adds a lot of value to our community. That was the reasoning, and I'm not saying it's perfect or correct, but I just want
I
to
understand
highlight that for you.
But
Yeah.
your workforce housing, it talks about workforce housing and long-term housing opportunities. Someone can occupy a, quote, workforce housing, occupy it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, have 4 people in that apartment, and they don't require any vehicles at all, any parking spaces for their vehicles.
I don't think we're saying that they don't.
Well,
Yeah, that's,
I think it's really quite clear when you look at the definition under workforce housing.
We're
So that is the incentive and the trade-off to create long-term housing opportunities and hopefully invite opportunities for people to be a part of this community, whether they work here or not. And I think it recognizes the practical reality that we don't have an unlimited supply of jobs within city limits. So to artificially limit it to people that may, and say you have to work in the city of Cape May, it's like, you got to look at this as a bigger issue, and a lot of communities are struggling with it. You know, there's examples of Breckenridge, Colorado provides financial incentives for people that rent to locals versus Airbnb. This is not that. This is providing not a financial incentive necessarily directly. It's providing a zoning incentive to say that, you know what, you may have a storage room above your store that is just loaded with boxes right now, and you're really only using it for that. But what this would provide that person to do is evaluate that space for maybe an alternative use. That if you're able to meet the requirements in here, such as you can't cram people in here like sardines. You got to have 2 people per bedroom and ask to meet international building and health and safety standards that are cited in here. And it provides some guardrails to maybe get some use out of that and get more of a community, or bring back sort of a community feel in the city of Cape May, and have people have a long-term housing opportunity. So yes, there is the opportunity for somebody that does not work here to have a long-term housing opportunity. We use workforce housing here. It's probably my fault, to be honest with you. We kept talking about workforce housing. It's talked about in the master plan. But that it's not limited to people that work here. It's a term of art, and it really is intended to incorporate and specifically calls out long-term housing opportunities, people that are staying at least 90 days or longer. It's not supposed to be the month vacation. It's supposed to be the person that is making this place their home, eating at the restaurants, shopping at the stores, walking the streets with their strollers. Like that's what this is shooting for. Is it going to happen overnight? Probably not. But this is a pilot program to try and pursue those opportunities.
But it does provide for an individual to rent an apartment for as long as they choose beyond, I think, for a year as an example.
And you want them to become part of the community. And you want them to be interested in staying here and serving on boards or volunteering or.
I don't believe the city, frankly, can accept another 100 or 200 people living in the city without one parking space. That's where I'm coming from. This elimination of a parking space doesn't work for the betterment of the city. It works for a few people that own the real estate because they're the ones that don't have to provide it.
Well, I would say on the flip side of that, if we had not worked to put this in place, all of those apartments in those units could have become potentially short-term, and you would have had 2 to 3 cars overturning every Saturday with cleaners.
I agree with you. I'm opposed to that.
This was I think, to address the issue of not wanting to have that accommodation on the mall. And the other part of it was, we need to make some kind of a step forward to bring people back into this city. And if this can accommodate it, I think then we need to address how that works out with people with parking. But the demographics in this city and the full-time residents, we all know what those are. If you're going to be able to continue for this city to be viable 10, 15 years from now, we need to do something. The parking problem exists. It would still exist regardless of whether or not.
But we're going to add to it.
We're not necessarily, and that was important. There's definitely a tension here about this, Mr. Roush, and it's not to say like, oh, parking's not an issue. It's what Deputy Mayor McDade pointed to, which is these spaces are going to be there whether we change this or not, and it's a policy choice about, okay, we want to do something with those spaces potentially. they could be converted to more commercial space, potentially inviting more customers to come in to use spaces that don't already exist. So that's another problem. That's a zoning alternative there. What this is doing is saying, you know what, maybe this isn't a zoning alternative that doesn't quite rise to the level of more commercial space and more cars for parking spaces we don't have, or more rentals that are seasonal that are we're gonna have 6 cars coming in for the weekend. This is saying, you know what, maybe this is a lower impact use relatively to those other uses that may present themselves there. And it also provides this net benefit of building back a community. Now, that's a really rosy picture, and it's probably not going to work out that way, like I said, overnight, but it's to set that ideal and maybe shoot for that, and maybe little by little, you build back these opportunities. You're certainly free to disagree with that, and then there's undoubtedly, yes, this is waiving parking, but it was a design choice based on, you know, this is probably not going to impact those things as much as a short-term rental were. And that's based on Mr. Hurlis's professional planning kind of feedback on that as well. So this was with professional advice and kind of thinking about the relative impact of these things.
You know, the initial basis was, you know, Section 525-22B, where an apartment is requiring 500 square feet, habitable area. Big difference between habitable area and just square footage. But in any way that you want to compare, whether it's using square footage or habitable area, you're still coming up with an ability to have 4 people in an apartment. That's based on your facts. The other issue is when you speak about grandfathering, if there have been illegal or improper improvements made to in a building, you can't my understanding of the law is you cannot grandfather that.
That is a correct statement, and that is not what this is proposing to do. It's not, if you get in under the wire, you're good. It's got to be lawfully existing at the time of the zoning ordinance adoption.
When we talk about the need for not having a site plan, we're talking now about an apartment of 500 square feet for 4 people, and you have certain requirements for fire and safety. You've got window sizes, you've got handrails, you've got door sizes, you've got, and it goes on.
Mr. Roush, it will be required. Construction official has to review.
But you're
the
saying they
location.
don't need site plans. I'm saying,
UCC.
A site plan is an overall survey of the property and exterior. You're talking about an architectural plan for building
I'm not
renovations. So
finished.
those are 2 different things. That's not a site plan.
there should be a site plan for that apartment submitted by the owner to show how he's going to meet the safety requirements.
Say that it will be reviewed on-site by the construction official. It will undergo a yearly fire inspection. They will be registered without not needing a mercantile license and registered with the city clerk. So this is not a pass. This is just saying you don't have to come and file an application with the planning board and come and do a presentation in that form. That was, again, a decision by the planning board to make this a more attractive process, but while still safeguarding the occupant's use of that space by ensuring that we're meeting all of the other conditions.
The other issue, which is based upon the type of construction that exists on the mall, many of the 3rd floors of those buildings do not have fire breaks. So you've got one building next to another building, and there's no division, no fire division. I think the inspection that is done of those buildings should be done by the state fire marshal, not a local fire marshal, by virtue of the type of construction.
But they in any new construction would have to provide a fire break and fire-rated walls and that, you know, any of that new construction.
The other issue is it's an economic issue. We're gonna offer the owners of property the right to modify their building to create apartments, and depending on the extent to which they improve that property, the amount of rent that they can charge is going to be based upon the market. And I submit to you that workforce housing is not going to be, that the need for workforce housing is not going to be satisfied because the economics of it are going to be such that they're not going to be able to afford it. and that's a concern. So there's a number of issues, none of which is going to solve the problem. I understand that, but we need to, before you start to expand areas, you know, if you're going to use this as a pilot, let's take a look at this before you start thinking about more areas in the
I
city.
agree with you there, Jules.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everything you said is a concern, so I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to see this as a bit of a pilot, to see how it's working out. By the way, if it's starting to not work during the process of it, that's something we can change pretty quickly. Go ahead, Jules.
Making change after you've created an ordinance is, and I yield to your solicitor, that creates issues unto themselves. If an owner of a property has made tens of thousands of dollars of
I didn't mean of the properties that went through it. I meant you said the number, I think, of like 200 people or something. I don't see that happening, but if I'm wrong and 100 people start happening, I think we can say, hey, I think that's enough.
Well, I guess the question is, how many buildings on the mall would be available for having their second and third floors for workforce housing?
We don't even know that information.
Quite frankly, that should have been,
But we can't go in and.
the planning board should have done a study to evaluate and know exactly what the potential is for this.
The potential is
Yeah.
almost limitless if somebody wants to pursue this program. This is, like I said, it's an incentive, a zoning incentive to shift towards this type of use.
Yeah, but there's a finite number of buildings on the mall. So if you've got 50 buildings on the mall, theoretically, you can't have more than four people occupying a building.
Well, theoretically, so if this exempts certain conversions from site plan review, but what it may do is if somebody's looking at a major overhaul of a building, which we've seen, or the planning board's seen at least, it allows that person to evaluate, what's the menu of uses and what are the requirements? And it may incentivize the creation of this type of housing in connection with an overhaul of a building. And those can happen and have happened.
Well, there's no question that there's several apartments or several buildings that have had improvements, and they've spent a lot of money, and the improvements are absolutely wonderful. But now we're talking about they're not going to have to provide any parking. I'm concerned about the compare.
They were asking the planning board to give them exceptions. You do, with the short-term and transient, they were coming to the planning board asking for parking variance exceptions, and in some cases, they were granted that. So we were already waiving the parking
We've been
requirement.
granting parking exceptions for the last
So
15 years,
I think we,
to our own detriment. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your comments, Mr. Roush. This ordinance is going to go back to the planning board, so hopefully they heard some of your comments and discuss it there too.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Martin? Good evening.
Martin Van Walsum, 329 Congress Street. So I am a dad that has a 25-year-old, and therefore I didn't have parental override anymore when my son decided to get one of these e-bikes that, like Jules said, is capable of 60 miles an hour out of the box. And the way I wound up doing a lot of research, because the night that he got it, he T-boned a car in an intersection that failed to yield. So he was in the emergency room, and thank God he had a moto helmet on, or he may not be with us. So I did quite a bit of research following that, and I was appalled to see this is at a federal level, these definitions of Class 1 and Class 2. And the way the manufacturers are skirting those laws in terms of licensing and registration is you get a key that limits you to 20 or 28 miles an hour, and then you can have another key that allows you to go to 60. Okay? I'm concerned that your definitions don't encompass those bicycles that are capable of doing 60 miles an hour. That these definitions specifically say not more than 20, not more than 28, not more than 25 miles an hour. So if the definition of a motorized bicycle is a maximum of 25 miles per hour, technically That bicycle doesn't meet the definition of a motorized bicycle. They're, in essence, they're dirt bikes. They're electric dirt bikes. And in speaking with another father here in town who has a teenage son, they're not buying bicycles anymore. They're all getting e-bikes. So I want to make sure that we have definitions here that are going to encompass what I realized at the state and federal level. The way that the manufacturers are working around it is using the technology, and the law is so far behind the technology. I want to make sure that we capture what's actually out there, which are these bikes that are capable of doing significantly higher than 25 miles per hour.
Martin, can I ask the solicitor, are we capable of doing that? Is that something we can do in limiting the, could you give your suggestion again as to what you, about the speed?
Well, so for example, the motorized bicycle definition, to fall under that definition, it says a maximum speed of not more than 25 miles per hour.
Right.
So if they had this second key, in other words, and they were able to increase it beyond 25, your point is this ordinance would not apply?
Correct.
Okay.
Nor would motor vehicle laws, because they're non-registered,
Right,
non-licensed
right,
vehicles.
Right, so it's kind of would be in a no man's land.
I think, I'm, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about this story. But this ordinance, someone would have to get really cute at the municipal court level to say that the faster bike is not a motorized bicycle. That's, the intent of this is to capture the power-assisted bicycles, and I understand what Martin is indicating. We can, it's almost like too specific, I would think, because we can just say it's power-assisted, and we already have those definitions in the code. So look, if I was presented with this at the municipal court level, we have other provisions of the code that point to these types of things as power-assisted. This is providing color to that, but that's really what we're regulating. So we can amend it, or we can change the definitions, but we already have provisions in the code about power-assisted, and it's regulated. And if we look at imperi materia, and we have to read all the code provisions together, I don't think somebody can seriously come into the municipal court and say, I had the faster key, therefore I'm not regulated. That's not the intent of this. The intent of this is, if you have a power-assisted vehicle and you're riding through town on a sidewalk, no. So that's the way that I would look at this. And, you know, I don't know if we can pick this up at the next one if we want, and we can look at amending the definition section.
So how about putting the power-assisted definitions in here?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we can,
Yep.
instead, I'm trying to avoid like chopping this up at the table right now, but we can certainly address that at the next meeting.
I read what was happening in Lower Township, and I understood that we were following suit, okay? I think that a lot of this is to signal the intent to the e-bike users that, hey, we're serious. We are going to, for your own safety, crack down on improper use. So I would encourage us to make sure that when we do this, that we're picking up the entire market of these bikes.
And I think there's a lot of kind of speeds and things like that to avoid the argument that it's so vague you can't even define what a motorized vehicle is. So that's why there's more detail, but I think we can probably hit a sweet spot on this. So I'll take a look at that before the next meeting. It's a good comment.
Thank you so
Martin,
much.
I'd be happy if you met with the solicitor and gave us his suggestions from
Sure.
there. That's
Happy
great.
to, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, my other home in Massachusetts, you never see anyone riding a bicycle without a helmet. It's just unheard of, okay? For anyone to be riding these without a helmet, it's Darwin's law, if you ask me. And I mean, thank God my son was smart enough to, and he was completely legal. He was doing the 28 miles per hour. He was using the right key, well lit, helmeted. Okay, everything was fine.
I think you're trying to make the point that accidents
excited.
happen. Right.
Because it was so close to being a tragedy that.
Please.
I only got hit by a car once in my 40-some years of bike riding down here, and I never wore a helmet. My husband said, if you don't wear a helmet and you get a brain injury, I'm not going to spoon feed you. And I said, okay. So I wear a helmet. I used to wear the helmet, go around the corner and take it off. Well, that helmet saved my life when I got hit by, I was on Broadway, and I had blinking light on, I'm in hot pink, I was doing 18 miles an hour, and this SUV, I think because I was going so fast, I didn't get hurt because I like bounced into the thing, but I don't understand how people don't wear helmets. I see people with, like, moms and dads with the carriers, and the kids don't have helmets on, and if I say something, I get the finger, and I'm like, so I don't say anything anymore, but like, you know what? You're low to the ground, if your kid gets hurt, like, a helmet will save your life. And after I had that accident, Tommy Ross was like, oh, you have to get a new helmet because that's, so if you do get in an accident, you need to get a new helmet. So I'd be happy to be on any bike safety committee thingy.
We're looking for volunteers.
The last thing I wanted to add was something that Roz pointed out at the last meeting, where these are a lot of the people that are coming into the city to work. So it's not.
And leaving.
We can reach out to the bicycle rental agencies, we can do those kinds of things. The largest, I don't have any statistics to back this up, but to me, in my opinion, the largest percentage of the users are people that are coming off island that are workers here.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Roz Johnson, 826 Lafayette Street. Yeah, just quickly, on top of what Mr. Moffett said and Mr. Roush, it would be a great idea to hand out these new rules to businesses, as the gentleman said, because they are a big portion of the people that are coming into town. And they need to know the rules, and there's no way of them knowing unless we tell them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Time is 7:14.